here changing shit. So sound stream is fine, but the novelty of having this here and seeing the lights on it light up and flash and shit, that's kind of worn off, and now it's more about practicality. And needless to say, this is not practical having this right here. I actually need the trunk every now and then, so I'm going to move this and mount it correctly. I'm going to mount it to its back seat. I should have plenty of space, but I figure while I'm in here, might as well upgrade. So putting that in, that should do. Am I going to be pushing 3600 watts? No, but it's nice to know that it could. I don't know how long or, you know, how sustainable it is, but I'll take their word for it. This comes with mounting brackets and different shit, so I'm gonna test fit this and see how this lines up first, then kind of go from there, because I gotta put the cap and the amp there, so make sure I have space. Wow, she's long. That's what she said. Yeah, so it's actually a pretty decent size. Alright, so I'm going to start mounting up, see how this is. I already see some fail here. Needless to say, you have these stabilizers for chassis stability and rigidity and stiffness. So that just happens to intersect right where I'm planning on putting this. So let's say, put this like this. You gotta close that up like that, and yeah, that's gonna hit. It's not gonna close. See, it won't close. So that sucks. So I have a couple of options. One, take that out, but then I have a brace on that side and nothing on this side. Two, I put it where the current amp is, which I don't know if I want to do that. I might just do that for now, and then tackle this project at a later date, because I'm gonna have to figure something else out for this. That's definitely not gonna work. So this was a giant pain in the dick. That's actually probably being nice. So as you can see, this is a mess. Tons of wires and shit everywhere. But you know, I was being lazy. I'll be honest. There's no other way to say it. I was being super lazy. I just didn't feel like doing all that work at that point. So I figured, you know what? I'm just gonna wait until I can do it right. So I waited till I had some time, and this is basically the result. So it started off looking pretty shabby, but I think once everything came together, it came together and it looked pretty nice. I kept the 4-gauge wire for the time being, just because I didn't want to go into too kind of intensive of an install, because I didn't have the amount of time that I wanted. So I figured, well, I'll just use the time I have and just make it work with that. I tried to pretty it up for the time being, though, so I put some wire loom on. And as you can see, it kind of makes it look a little better, a little more professional, but still, the wires just were a little sloppy to me. I mean, but definitely better than the way it was before, and when everything kind of came together. But I'm sorry for the interruption. I'm going to get back. All right, on to the business here. Obviously, I'm going to clean this up, and probably hit it with the vacuum real quick because everything looks pretty shitty. But I was severely limited on space. Shit. So didn't really have a whole lot of options here. So options were pretty much leave it where it was stationed, which is over here in this corner, and then I lose this whole, I keep this portion, but I lose this whole portion. or move it to the back, and I just lose that back portion, but I have now this whole area here that I can use. And I went with, like I was saying, the kicker CX series amps because they mount vertically. So I figured best case scenario, mounted vertically, so I save as much space as possible. The cap is a pudgy bastard, so there's really not a whole lot I can do about that. It is what it is. But everything's actually cleaned up this time around, so yeah, I like the way I had it before, but it was way too impractical. It just took up too much space, and obviously it snows here, and when I would open the trunk to like knock the snow off, like it would get in the trunk, and then it would like fall on the cap and the amp. I'm like, oh no, fuck that, no way, no, clean that up, do that right. So that's what I did. So yeah, everything's been tied up. Obviously this is the speaker lead, so that's why this is kind of dangling, but everything else is sealed down. So the cap is sealed down, that's also sealed down. I was also considering putting it on the back of the seat, but needless to say, this car was really not designed for that. So you can see the pass-through is blocked off with this awesome little piece of whatever the fuck that is. But and then also these here. So I don't know where that bolt went. I'll probably find it probably like in 5-10 minutes when I start closing everything back up. I think I dropped it somewhere, but it's 1/8, so I can get it. Actually, it's not an 8. It's like I think it's a 10, but it says 8. Weird as shit. So needless to say, those kind of conflict with me being able to put the amp in the cap here. It's just, that's kind of solid, so that doesn't really work. Then you have this gigantic thing there that doesn't work either. So couldn't really do it the way I wanted to, but I made do with what I got. You can complain about it, or you can just do what you can. Yeah, so I didn't feel like getting hit with copyright infringement, so I'm just taking the audio out of this. But this is basically after the installation was complete and everything was cleaned back up and bolted back down. So this is just more of a once over in terms of once everything has been somewhat final put down, if that's even a way of saying it. But it's recognition of a couple of problems. This one, obviously there's a hole in the sub, we know that, but if you notice that protection light is on, that's obviously not good, and there's a bit of an explanation there of why that's bad. And then additionally, probably the other bigger issue that lets us know that we're about to make that jump up to 0 gauge wire, and that would be the 4 gauge wire. The fact that it's just not able to keep up with the power needs for the amp. The CX series amps are known to be power hungry, so not that unexpected. I mean, I kind of figured the 4 gauge was only going to last for so long, so it did what it could, but this was kind of the beginning of the end, and I knew that, all right, it's time to go to big boy stuff. But without further ado, we'll go ahead and get back into what was going on before. Right. So we have our final setup here. So I think I'm going to be going with this. This is a 12-inch Kicker L7, 2-ohm load in a ported box. This is the final setup in the trunk. So I'm super anal about cleanliness and organization. So I put a lot of wire loom in to make the wire look nice and also protect it, because this is a working vehicle. So I put shit in here, but it does fairly well with the Kicker. The only problem that I'm running into with the Kicker is it clips at different intervals. Either way, I mean, this is the best combo, because thus far this amp has killed 2 Alpine subs, Type R's. It has a 10 and a 12 under its belt. So it is what it is. But right now, though, I'm just going to go with the 112, this one here, and call it a day. The way I'm putting the box in, actually, let me put this in. fucking stand up without being a bitch. Alright, that's good enough right there. Oh, fuck. So basically I have this set up in here like this, where it's sideways, so that port is aiming directly at the amp and cooling it down, so circulates a good amount of air, so I don't get any heating issues, so works out pretty nicely though. But I will get everything reinstalled and fire it up, and probably, hold on, probably can't hear shit, but I'm taking my door off to do the speakers now, so I figure I might as well document this for other people. Forgive the noise in the background. Nothing I can do about that. It is a shop. First things first. Hold on. Alright, before I was so rudely interrupted. Alright, so we have our tweeter right here. This plugs in right here. Like so. If I can get this goddamn thing reseated. How was it in there before? Like this. Yeah, like that. Alright. Yeah, so basically the tweeter holds in like that. Now what you have to do is go at it from the fuck it. But you have to attack this from the bottom, if you could see down there. That's where you have to press this in to pull that tweeter out. You'll see there's a push release right there. And it pushes right out. It just pulls right off. So you do have to give it a decent amount of force to pull it off. I used a panel tool though. For screws, you have one screw in the door. That would be this screw. You have another screw down here behind this light. That would be this. God damn it. This. Alright, well, it's this screw. Shit. And then there is two hidden in here behind the behind this trim piece, which you have to pop off. And then, of course, you have all the push connectors as well. And in theory, this should pop right off now. Behold, we have the back of the door. Tremendous, tremendous. So what we're doing today is getting rid of those, because those look like shit. And I need better speakers anyway, so I'm taking those out. But I'm gonna have to do the other side in a little bit. So what I will do is get the other side apart, and then we'll play the oh shit. And we'll play them in we'll play them as is and see how those sound, and then we'll play the kickers and see how those sound and go from there. It's simple enough that I'm just going to do this real time. So there's a speaker behind the speaker. No, there's a screw behind there. Same way like the door handle on the other side. To get this off, you just tugsy bang, and that pops right out of there like that. And then you disconnect this. Like so. Bang, and that comes right off. That's out the way. Then there's another screw hidden below here, which has already been removed. And there's another screw here, which I believe already removed. Word of advice, that light is outrageously hot. Oh, I didn't take that screw out actually. So let's take this out very quickly. Fuck. Where's that? Do me a favor. Oh yeah, I did take it out. Alright, yeah, I take that back. I did take that out. But that light is super hot, so if you can, try not to touch it. So I'm going to try to push this shit out. Actually, let me pop the panel first. If you don't have a panel tool, get a panel tool. Alright. Panel popping for the win. I'll just leave this right fuck it, I'm just gonna have to put it down for a minute. Alright, so I already popped off most of this panel. Now you can see that's very loose. Let's grab the tweeter off. Panel tool. Pop this behind here. Should have rolled the windows down. I was fucking thinking, but I wasn't. Alright, that's off. And then, real time, we'll get this connector out. Let me grab my screwdriver. Alright, let me use one of these. Alright, what we're going to do is basically push down on the foam end. So you can see right now you have your release. Actually, let me put the light on. Alright. You might be able to see there's a quick release right there, dead center. I'm gonna pop that. Alright, so that's been popped now. So once that comes out, you just slide this out, boom, that's gone. Put that right there. Yeah, pretty much. I'm tired of investing money now, it's going to the fucking junkyard. Alright. Fuck, that light is hot. God damn, that light is hot. Shit. Oh my god, that light is hot. Fuck. Alright, and of course I've just burned myself on the fucking light. Jesus, that thing is hot. Holy god. Holy shit, that thing is hot. Oh, I just burned the fuck out of myself, man. Oh, I tried to do exactly what I didn't want to do, which is burn myself, so this has to be taken care of. That happened. It's a little too rough with it when I pulled it apart, so fuck. Shit happens. What are you gonna do? I got another one. I'm gonna pick up another one tonight. When I get it at the dealer price, so it'll only be 19 bucks, so call it a day. But yeah, clearly the way this sits in here like this, but yeah, basically it sits. It's not supposed to sit like that, but this piece here broke off at the top. I could probably glue that and it'd be fine, but fuck it, I'll just replace it. I don't have time to play games. Either way, I'm not going to take any more of this apart because the rest is the power, whatchamacallit, the power windows, and I don't feel like taking it apart right now. And I don't have to take off the speakers, so I'll leave it as is and we'll play it as is now and see how it sounds. That light, I'm not that fucking lazy. I did end up taking the whole thing off. But yeah, that's basically what you got behind the door. So, like I said, we'll play it with these and see how that sounds. I'm gonna use some of my own music so I don't have copyright problems. Alright, I'm just gonna play it through the front speakers for now. And this is without the tweeter, so this is just what the speakers are doing.
You ain't already know, now you know. Hey, I don't think a rock really came no harder than this. Shit, red alert. Hey, the boy is a mess. Better wipe me down. Half pimp, half hustler, slightly clown. I
add some bass
on that instrumental. Something like a murderer, I kill with a pad and pencil. Explain my style, I can't even begin to. Money, cars, and jewels, the things I'm into. Shorty, your skeptic say I'm not a good influence. Might trip for a minute, but return like rentals. Come with the heat like a sunburn. Spit flames like a grill, so I'll be the hot topic. Even with a police siren, you can't stop it. Get some like a sitcom, better watch it. Shit on lanes, got the game in my pocket. Pushing haters to the rear while I'm managing the cockpit. Flip the hot switch, yes,
more bass.
Red alert, yeah, I'm sicker than an STD. Holla, star 5, we bout to blast off. Yes, for sure, we bout to blast off. Step aside, it's our time for shining. So sick of the rhyme, yes, perfect time. Star 5, we bout to blast off. Yes, for sure, we bout to.
Yes, that sounds fucking terrible. Alright, first speaker is in. Let's see, it's already installed. If I can get the light on, there you go. There she goes. Sound difference is actually pretty noticeable. I mean, you can tell a two-way speaker. There's a lot more treble, a lot more detail. So let's see if we can hear it. Let's turn it back to. Let's balance it out, and then let's restart this. Alright. So this is both speakers currently.
I don't think a rock really came no harder than this. Hey, the boy is a mess, better wipe me down. Half pimp, half hustler, slightly clown. I goof off on that instrumental. Something like a murderer, I kill with a pad and pencil. Explain my style, I can't even begin to. Money, cars, and jewels, the things I'm into.
So now let's balance them out. So let's go to the stock speaker.
Real fluffy, the hot topic. Even with a police siren, you can't stop it. Get some like a sitcom, better watch it. Shit on lanes, got the game in my pocket. Pushing haters to the rear while I'm managing the cockpit. Flip the hot switch, yes it's me. Red alert, yeah I'm sicker than a STD. Holla, star 5, we bout to blast off. Yes for sure, we bout to blast off. Step aside, it's our time for shining. So sick, it's a vibe, yes, perfect timing. Star 5, we bout to blast off. Yes for sure, we bout to give me an extra minute. Star 5, we bout to blast off.
Definitely got some distortion right there. So now we'll switch it to this speaker and we'll turn the bass down and work our way up.
Yes, for sure, we about to blast off. Step aside, it's our time for shining. So sick, it's a vibe, yes, perfect time. I'm tired of struggling, us tired of juggling. The 9 to 5 going all around hustling. Well known to the pumpers, can't stop, won't stop till my checks looking like phone numbers. Been known to be mean on the scene, grinding harder, got smarter, been clean since 16. Since I mean I changed my ways, changed the phase, devouring beats like I ain't ate in days. But it was weeks, in fact, when we keep the week back, so no contact with anything I contact. So up all the IB, don't need to know the numbers I see. No caller ID, in fact caller ID. Double dog there, yeah. Can't stay in this scared, yeah. More like the J signs everywhere. And my nice Rico, hell yeah. I'm saying, star 5, we bout to blast off. Yes for sure, we bout to blast off. Step aside, it's our time for shining. So sick with the vibe, yes, perfect timing. Star 5, we bout to blast off. Yes for sure, we bout to blast off. Step aside, it's our time for shining. So sick with the vibe, yes, perfect timing. Star 5, we bout to blast off. Yes for sure, we bout to blast off. Step aside, it's our time for shining. So sick with the vibe, yes, perfect timing. Star 5, we bout to blast off. Yes for sure, we bout to blast off. Step aside, it's our time for shining. So sick with the vibe, yes, perfect timing. Starting. Hey, the boy is a mess, better wipe me down. Half pimp, half hustler, slightly clown. I goof off on that instrumental. Something like a murderer, I kill with a pad and pencil. Explain my style, I can't even begin to. Money, cars, and jewels, the things I'm into. Shawty, you step and say I'm not a good influence. Might trip for a minute, but return like rentals. Come with the heat like a sunburn. Spit flames like a grill.
That's pretty noticeable. There's a ton more clarity, so I'm going to go ahead and do the other speaker now. Alright, let's take a look at the difference here. So, this is the stock speaker. This is the kicker. So, as you see, the construction is a little different. It says like the cone bridge. There's definitely a difference in quality. So I'm going to go ahead and pop this out of here and then install it, this one in there. So obviously you have the 4 speakers that surround the speaker when you go to first take it out. These I said 4 speakers, 4 screws. So you have these screws that are holding it in the door. Those are impossible to miss, but once you do get it out, you have these 2. These are what the hell is this? This is a 1/4 inch. So 1/4 inch to get the driver out of the house. This is now installed in here. And you can see the terminals are visible through here, so that works out very nicely. And I think I might actually show install this time around, like putting this back in the door, and how I'm actually getting the speaker feed from it. So how am I doing this? So no, I'm not cutting the stock harness. Alright, so that's the stock harness, stock plug. So what I'm doing, putting a small splice in. If you can see this. Boom, right there. What we're going to do is tie into them and just tape them off. And that allows us to keep the stock harness. So my speakers still work, so I'm not going to throw them away. I'm just not going to use them. So if I do ever want to use these, the stock speakers again, I just disconnect those and wrap into these. I'm going to do that now. So these are tied in. Shit. Yeah, that helps. So these are tied in, like so, as you can see. Just tie the speaker leads in. And I'm going to put this back in. Snug as a bug in a rug. Let's turn it on now. See how it sounds. Holy shit. That was tough. Oh, that's very noticeable.
Blast off like spaceships, I'm impatient. Haters got me out of space like an alien. My campaign is I'm a champion, so I'ma take chips. Change faces like a facelift. My excellence is genuine, I'm so anxious. I'll rep my set for kid colors like a racist. No matter with my mouth, so y'all embrace this. No more living underground like a basement. I'ma play my cards right, I'm the ace kid. Call kid, I'm the weak to replacement. With that call, record, ready to race kid. And living colors, I'll find your own way in. Cause yes, my head getting big like green head. I can move, blowing in the atmosphere. So far, I spend time trying to catch my spirit. A minute past never. Give me an extra minute. Start five, we bout to blast off. Yes, we show, we bout to blast off. Step aside, sometimes we shine. So sick, we survive, yes, sometimes. Start five, we bout to blast off.
And the nice thing is that's without the tweeters. Alright, so we'll have to reinstall everything and then see how it sounds. Door panel's back on. Didn't actually take me that long. No, it's terrible. But what the hell was I thinking about? I forgot. Alright, make sure that's good. Close. Good. Close again. Good. Slight. Let's see, soft close. Okay. Let's have to check and make sure that nothing's hitting. And looks like we're good there. But I haven't put the other one back on. Partially because I broke the fucking handle. I'm not happy about that right now at all. But I guess just to kind of illustrate what we're going to be doing. Actually, I'm not going to lay on the fucking floor. It might hurt my knee. I already hurt my knee, actually. Oh, yeah, that's... Take a while. Guess what this is. That's the broken handle. And you know the funny thing? It was just purely inattentiveness. That's all it was. I was not paying attention for 2 seconds. 2 seconds. And I pulled up a little too hard, and I heard... like, fuck, I know that's something that broke. And then I looked at the handle. I'm like, god damn, of all the things that could have broke, the $19 handle. So, could have been a lot worse. Could have snapped a harness or something. So, I'm going to pick up that handle tomorrow. Good to go. But for now, I have a bit of a conundrum here. So I don't have a handle. So, how do we... Is it worth putting the door panel back on, knowing that I'm going to have to take this shit back apart? And I technically don't have a choice. So, I'm going to have to hook everything back in. But, I guess just to kind of go over everything. This is for the handle. So this is like your lock and unlock. That goes into the handle. Actually, hold on. Right there. Well, this isn't the handle. This is like the... I don't know what the hell you want to call this. The cradle. I don't know. But yeah, that goes in there. This is the tweeter. What else? These are the window controls. It's only really 3. And this fucking light, I hate this light. That shit is on fire. If it burns me again, I'm gonna kill its mother, but regardless, why is that on right now? This is gonna be hot as shit. Actually, hold on, I gotta figure out how to turn that back off, because that's gonna be super hot. But essentially, I'm gonna plug these in first, and then basically just mount the door right here. So the door slides on, so basically you pull up to take it off, where you pull up and make sure you don't catch the door handle, number one, to take it off, and then to put it back, you just slide the door back on this, which I'm going to do right now. So let's go ahead and get this door on after I just temporarily lost. Plug in the harness first. That one's on. And there's another one, a smaller one. And where is it? Oh, I'm doing this blind. Should do this from the bottom, actually. Yeah, I can't see, so I'm gonna have to do this from the bottom. God damn it! Fucking light burnt me again. There's the whole lot right there. That's right there. Alright, I think that's it now. Door's back on. With a lot of goddamn work. Alright, I'm gonna plug this back in. The door handle. So, slide that back on. And like I said, I'm going to run a zip tie for this for right now, so I can at least open my door until I get the new handle. Fuck. What's the moral of the story, ladies and gentlemen? Take your time and pay attention. Doing rear speakers. So, pretty straightforward to get the door off. You have your hidden screw back there, right there. And then we have this here that pops off. I'm about to grab my panel gap tool. I have my panel tool here, as you can see. It's very handy. So I'm gonna go ahead and start by popping that off. I'll try to do this with one hand, because I'm a G. Successful. And didn't even scratch it up, go figure. So in here we have 2 screws, one there, one there, and then of course the one I said there. So I'm going to take all 3 of those out. There's your first screw, came out of there, so that screws out. Now I'll take these out with my magnet. Alright, well that was not loose, that was loose though. So that's screw number 1. That one that came out of there. It should be loose now. Yep. There we go. That one's out. Alright, so we got our 2 screws out. Now the door handle panel. Easiest way is just to pull that up and then just slide that out like that. It's done. Move this out the way. And then the door itself, we just gotta grab our panel tool and pop those panels. So I'll just slide this. Where are we at? Slide that in there like that. Right. This one over here. gonna just do these with my hands. That's good. Come on. There we go. I'll just get this off. Just pull it up a little bit. Like that. And there she goes. Off. And just make sure you disconnect this for the power window. Door panel off. So that's what you have behind your Mazda 6 door. And that's what we got for a speaker. So as you can see, that's a 6.5 and a 5x8 frame. So what we're gonna do is not put a 6.5 in, and we're actually gonna put a 6x8 in, and it'll fill up these areas. But for right now, I'm gonna take the other door off first and then replace. So stock speaker, new speaker. So this is a Kicker KS series. This is the higher end series. You have the CS series and then the KS, so I went with the higher end ones, but these are the 6x8, so right there you'll see the wattage on them. The peak is 150, and the, let me see, where are we at? Jesus, this is difficult to read because all the numbers are across. Well, continual handling is 75, and then the peak is 150, but these are two-ways, so get a nice little tweeter built in, so I should get a hell of a lot more clarity out of these versus this. I mean, that's literally paper. Like, that's literally paper. That's not paper. And as you can see, the surround is equipped with its own screws, so this is going to fit quite nicely, actually. So if anybody told you, oh, you can't fit 6.5, 6x8s or 5x7s because it comes with 6.5, that's BS. As you can see, that fits with no problems whatsoever. Fits right in, perfectly fine. It wouldn't fit a 6x9, but it'll definitely fit a 6x8. So I'm gonna use this entire area that they give me from the factory, and I'm gonna make it sound pretty good, pretty goddamn good. So I'm gonna take this out because now I gotta wire them up, which I have my wiring. So the only question is, do I want to keep this surround? Which I don't think I am, because this surround is just really designed to help this speaker fit in and close off this area that would normally be open, because obviously the speaker isn't that big. This doesn't have that problem. It's going to fill that entire area, so technically speaking, don't have to reuse this. It'll fit. These are the correct size speakers, so I don't have to use this surround to fill up that space, so I'm going to put these back in as is. So let me wire them up, and then I'll throw them in the door. Oh, wiring. I have a membership on directtext.com, which gives you convenient wiring diagrams, so I don't have to guess what I'm going to be splicing into. Show the wiring here. So, pretty simple. So, based on the wiring diagram, it tells me that white and blue is positive. This would focus, which it's doesn't look like it's going to. There we go. So white and blue is positive, black and blue is negative. And I've just taken the terminals and basically wrapped them around as to not damage this. And I'll still get perfectly fine sound out of it. So I thought I would just show what the finished product looks like. So This is with the speaker leads, the speaker wires connected into the speaker, so that's the way I end up making them look. So I wrap each speaker individually. So I do the left, the positive, then the negative, and then I just wrap them around together. I mean, there's not going to be a whole lot of vibration, so they're not going to like come apart, but you know, weird shit happens, so I like to be safe. So let me throw these back in. So as you can see, I just reused the existing screws, all 4 of them. I didn't have to use the ones that came with it. I didn't reuse this because, again, I don't have to fake fill in that space because the speaker is actually that big now. What happened, unless you took a peek through, then you can actually see the tweeters and whatnot through there, which look pretty nice. But this is done now. So, do I have the key? Yeah, it's still in ignition. So this time, everything's patched back up, and the sub is connected. Take a quick side-by-side between the CS and the KS. So, material's a little different here. Yeah, definitely, I mean, obviously, you know, all the ridges here, but this actually does feel a little coarser. This is definitely a lot smoother. I mean, the tweeter itself, I know the tweeter in here is titanium, so it plays a bit loud. No, what's the word? Bright, that's the word. This one isn't quite as bright. I can't remember the construction of the tweeter, but this is a better constructed speaker overall. Mounting depth is pretty much the same. I mean, they're pretty much the same. Spider looks about the same, like you know, they're both 4 ohms. Damn, I can't get this to focus. There we go. Yeah, they're about the same. Magnet size is the same. So the only difference is this is supposed to be better than this. But I'm going to put one of these in and compare it against that and see what happens and see which one sounds better. Good old big 3 upgrade, huh? So what we're doing now is polishing up some of these bolts that we're using because they're in pretty shit shape. So this is the one you could tell that has come off the car, which is covered in shit, and this is one of the ones that I've cleaned up. Oh shit. This is one of the ones that I've cleaned up, so you can tell there's quite a big improvement. I'm going to do both of those just to show the terminals for the engine ground on the car. Those have been cleaned up as well. So you can see this is shining like new. It looks beautiful. Clean that up. Clean up the pointed grounds out to there, and clean those up as well. So gonna have some damn good charging points here. I'm doing this in sections, by the way, but so obviously that's already installed. Put in the new terminal, and this is the voltage reading terminal from Raptor. So it just gives me a voltage readout for what the battery's doing. These are the grounds now. So the engine ground upgrade. I did check continuity, so those are good grounds. But obviously I'm not done. Alright, so what are we doing here? Basically just testing how much the voltage drops. That's about it. So I'm playing the same song I was before, so I get kind of a baseline, but already you could see just with the engine ground and the 4-gauge negative terminal in the battery, this is holding a hell of a lot better. Now it's in the 13s. And keep in mind, with the previous setup, like before we did the grounds or anything, it was dropping into 11s and the 12s at this level. Now I'm turning it up, you know, incrementally to see how much further we can go before we get any considerable drop. I mean, I knew there was going to be drop because it was still 4 gauge and I didn't do all the other terminals, but I wanted to see how far I can go and how much it would drop. So turning it up incrementally, we're still seeing some dips into the 12s. I mean, granted, it's still holding better than it was before. Remember, before it had dropped to 11.6. And in this case, it's, like high 12s. 0 is about as high as I go on the bass. Don't really go much further than that, and I definitely don't really turn it to 25 or 28 or much higher than that. So this would pretty much be the highest it would go. And as you can see, with the 4 gauge and without the other charging terminals upgraded, it's still dropping into the 11s. So that lets us know we still have work to do, and that we're going to have to obviously upgrade some other things as well. So let's move on to those things, and we'll see what it looks like once we get the other things done. Definitely seems to be a little stronger than it was before. Probably not considerably stronger, but it holds quite a bit more. I mean, this time it didn't cut out, but I also know the point at which it cuts out, so I just didn't take it there. But still seems to be a good deal stronger than it was, so we're definitely making increases. So next step, I'll replace the other engine ground, and then I'm going to upgrade the negative terminal to a 2 gauge wire from the 4 gauge I got, and that should make things real interesting. And then so step like 3 out of like 6 is done. What those steps were is, number 1, change the terminals. That was step 1. Get the battery readout terminal and then the multi-terminal for the negative. That was step 1. Step 2 was get the new negative ran, which is the negative coming off of the strut tower here, and also get the engine ground taken care of. Step 3 then ended up being getting both of the engine grounds taken care of, because I only did one, but now I have both of them ran correctly. And also took the time to ground out the power steering to the throttle body, and then the throttle body is grounded out to the negative post on the battery. So step 4 would be upgrading that from 4 gauge to 2 gauge wire. Step 5 would then be swapping out the alternator, and then step 6 is, of course, upgrading the charging wire on the alternator. And then my big 4 upgrade technically is done, because I plan to upgrade the negative and the positive on the alternator, get as much juice as I can. But for right now, we're in pretty good shape. I'm going to put the intake and whatnot back in, and then do a quick test, of course, and see what we got for voltage, and see when it cuts out this time. I do assume it'll still cut out, because I have an underpowered alternator, and the wire isn't quite as thick as I want, but should definitely be better. So I like doing it this way as well, because it's incremental, so I can see what's doing what. So just that right there, just putting the negative post on and putting that 4 gauge on, that made a gigantic difference. I mean, literally, the voltage in the cap went from like 12.8 to like 13.8. Like, I picked up a volt. And then this also helped out. Now I have both of the engine grounds ran, and then I have the power steering and now the throttle body ran. So I hear that when you ground out the throttle body, helps with throttle input. It's supposed to make it a little more linear, so we'll see if that's actually true. And while I was at it, I also swapped in a bigger meth nozzle, so we went from a D10 to a D14. Spraying a little bit more juice now. So let me get the intake back in, I'll get these wires wrapped up, and like I said. So this is, with everything the same, the only difference is the engine ground and the throttle body ground and the power steering ground and all of those new things done. But it's still with the 4 gauge negative terminal. So there's only a couple of changes here, but like I said, I like doing it incrementally so I see what each change does versus just doing it all at once, and then you really don't know what really did what. So this time I'm starting the bass much higher, than before, because I mean, look at the voltage on this here. I mean, you can see that these are making considerable differences. Like it does actually make a pretty big jump from level to level. So, I mean, whereas before I was at, -6 or -5, and I was, seeing drops into the 11s and the 12s. Now I'm at -1, and, it's holding 13, 14 volts. So, and when I do get drops, it drops into like the high 12s. Now, granted, we're still not done. I mean, and then you can also see the volume is also higher than I normally keep it as well. So, and then I actually went positive on the base this time. So, I did get a cut when that happened, though. It was a very brief cut, and you can see the cap isn't even working right now when it cut out. But then the base hit again, and then it, I think it dropped to, I want to say, 12.9 or something like that, or it might have even dropped lower than that. But you'll see it kind of quickly flash up on the voltage indicator when it cuts out. But it only cut out in this particular point when it was at, I want to say, 26. That was the only time I actually got it to cut out. But again, it's not supposed to cut out at all. But you'll see it'll play, and then the voltage will hold steady. That right there, that's when it cut out. And then it'll come back on, it'll play, and then it'll hit a high note, well, a low note, and then it'll cut out. So at least that lets me know at that point that we still, all the other upgrades and whatnot are still necessary, so we're not out of the water yet. And keep in mind, this is still with the 4-gauge wire, so, but we're getting there, a little ways at a time. So next, of course, would be the 2-gauge and whatnot, so let's go ahead and move on over to that. I think it's very conclusive that that's over 14 volts, so definitely the grounding upgrades are making a huge difference in the voltage that this is holding. I'm very happy thus far. So now we just got to keep upgrading things and see if we can get the voltage to keep even higher. This is now done. I just actually, let me put the key in and make sure this shit actually comes on. Ah, fuck. That's good. So, this is done though. Excuse me. But, as you can see, I upgraded this to 2-gauge. I just wanted the additional sizing on the wire, so I can do. Oh, fuck. God damn it all, the fucking hell. The negative terminal is not fitting flushly, so that makes me less than happy. But it is what it is. I have an insert at home that I can put in that'll sit on there nicely. But for right now, it's just gonna have to do. But it's thicker wire. I cleaned this up some more with the Dremel, so it has a good connection. And clean these up a little bit too. So negative wise, my grounds are fucking great. I mean, my grounds are phenomenal. So engine grounds upgraded, battery ground is upgraded, and then I grounded out my throttle body, which actually you can feel that it actually is smooth. I couldn't believe, and I thought it was my brain playing tricks on me, like, wow, this feels smoother. But yeah, apparently that does actually do something, which I had no idea. And then I grounded out the power steering pump as well. So basically the way this goes, the battery of course is grounded there, and then I have the throttle body basically here, grounded to the battery with 4-gauge. You can see the wire, it's right there, that's it right there, and basically it comes down, routes through here, and then terminates there. And then from there you have the one on the bottom of the throttle body basically coming up, coming across, and then going to power steering. And then over here we have basically from right there, grounding out, engine ground 1, and then engine ground 2. So basically the entire block is almost daisy chained together. But it definitely has made a considerable improvement, which I swear honestly catches me off guard every time I think about it, because it seems so simple, just putting thicker wire and grounding it out properly, but it makes a gigantic, I could not believe the difference it made. So we're going to see the difference that 2 gauge makes versus the 4 gauge, and then kind of go from there. I'm going to finish assembling this. I got to put this back. Just started it up. 13.6. Let's see what we got in the back. Cap's probably not on. Oh yeah, it is. 13.8. So we got 13.8 that the cap is holding, and the battery is currently at 13.6. And it's coming up a little bit. So it'll probably hold where it normally does, between 13.7 and 13.8. But I'm more interested about like when I hit a low note on the amp, does it cut out? Which I know it will. It's just a question of where will it cut out. This is what the trunks looks like now. I'm gonna start dynamatting it. We'll go from there. I'm done dynamating. I didn't go crazy. I mean, I just wanted a little bit, so that's better than it was before at least. So looks a little better. So that should insulate the sound a little bit better than it did before. I mean, ideally, if I dynamated the entire trunk, that would be best case. But this is gonna take too long, and I just wanted to do this because this, like this little thing here, that rattles like hell, and then this wing rattles a lot. So it should be a little better. That still rattles a little bit. Yeah, it still rattles a little bit. It's not that bad though. So I might actually do a couple other areas. Actually, no, that's fine. I'm gonna patch it back together. Hell, I'm fine with the way it is. Call it a day. Alright, so we're gonna do a quick wire comparison here. So when people say, oh, 4 gauge, 0 gauge, different things like that, it's difficult to know the difference in the gauge size sometimes until you look at them side by side. So here we have, this is 1 0 gauge. It's a kit. Actually, I'm gonna do one better if I can find the other piece of wire. So here we have 3 different types of wire. They're in order of least to greatest. So needless to say, this is the 4 gauge that was in there currently. I mean, it's not bad wire, so to speak. If you notice, it's if I can get this to zoom in on the wire, which it's not going to, because that would be way too convenient. God damn it. Alright, there we go. So if you notice, that wire is very silverish versus this wire, which is basically not silver at all. That's going to be your difference between CCA and OFC. And I actually have some 0 gauge OFC and CCA to show the difference. So as you can see, the CCA, which stands for copper clad aluminum, has I mean, it's basically, it's copper clad aluminum. So It's not technically, it's not the best gauge of wire, put it like that. I mean, will it transmit power? Is it still thicker than 4? Yes, but and you compare it to OFC, which this is, which is oxygen-free copper, it's just a better grade of wire. The strand count on these, I believe, is the same. It's just one is just a better grade of 0 gauge than the other, but thickness is pretty much the same. With this, it's the difference is more pronounced there, as you can see. I mean, this is essentially, I mean, this is like comparing 8 gauge and 4 gauge. It's that big of a difference. I mean, you could fit essentially no, I mean, I would actually, you know what, even better. I'm gonna check the wire spool, because this isn't frayed or anything. This will be really easy to check. So this is the 4 gauge wire spool. I can see you get a decent amount of wire there, but if you check the two, let me try to line these up. Yeah, that's a big difference. that's legit like double. I mean, that's a gigantic difference. And even though this is CCA, still with that much more wire coming through, that's still going to pull some volts. So you're better off upgrading to, even if it's not OFC, if you can, all you can get your hands on is a CCA, then it's still, this 0 gauge is still a hell of a lot thicker, and it's going to be able to transmit a hell of a lot more current than this 4 gauge. So we are through the firewall. Had to use this. There you go. Those 3. So obviously the firewall isn't difficult to get through, and it's also not easy either if you don't have the proper tools. So step down makes it a lot easier. So you start with this one and then finish with that one, or you can potentially start with this one, but this is a little easier to get in and start with, and then bore it out with that one. But this is the grommet tool, which basically goes in the hole you create, so your wire isn't rubbing against sharp ass metal. And take a wild guess what happens with wire and sharp ass metal. Yeah, you don't want that. So you put this in there, and this will essentially stop any sort of wear or damage happening to the wire. The problem is, it's a piece of fucking shit. Look at this shit. It's already broken. I tried to push it into the damn hole. Look at this shit. It just collapsed on itself. This is pathetic. So I might come up with something a little better, but in terms of what we have in the firewall, there we go. That's trusty right there. So put the hole right up by the grommet. So there's our hole right there, and essentially this is just gonna feed into it, and then I'm gonna feed the wire through. This is all that hole is already big enough for this wire to get through. The goal is, like I was saying, to have it large enough that not only does the wire get through, but this grommet tool, it fits in there snug. So I'm debating on what I want to do right now. Alright, so yeah, I'm going to use a little plastic piece. It is what it is. Screw it. So as you can see, plastic is in the hole. There it is right there. So it's a little black outline. There we go. So the plastic is there to basically protect the wire. Only problem is that's backwards, so I'm gonna have to flip it around and push it through on the other side, because that's where you're supposed to. Basically, the way it's supposed to work, you flip it on the other side and then push the wire through from the bay into the car, and then there's a little jacket this one. That also goes on, and basically as you push the wire through, it seals on that little plastic piece. So you have this piece protecting it, and then you have the plastic protecting it too, so nothing should damage your wire. But the only problem is you gotta do that from the engine bay, which is gonna be a pain in the dick. So this is what I mean. So let me see, you have the plastic piece here, if it focuses. Alright, so that's the plastic piece, right? So this is gonna go like that, and this is gonna go like that. Yep, see? So when you push this into the firewall, this is going to seal like this, and you're going to push past like that. And you see the clips here. The clip, god damn it! Holy shit, this is pathetic. You're fired. Alright, so that's, oh, there you go. So those clips clip into the firewall, and then you push the wire and it basically seals it in like that. So I'm going to push it in from the engine. So obviously I was just struggling there because I was trying to figure out how to get this thick ass wire through the firewall, but because genius level intellect, I just thought of something. So why am I doing all the work? I already have wire down there, so let that wire do the work. So I threaded that 4 gauge wire that was already run through here, threaded that through the hole I created, and you can guess what I'm going to do. I'm just going to feed some of this in, feed some of this wire through this grommet, and then tie these off and just pull it right through. It should be very simple. So as we can see, I've tied these off, so now they're essentially one piece. This is fail 6. Nothing ever goes as planned in here. So let's see what happens real time. Alright, so let's get our light set up. Alright, and let's go and pull this bitch through. Alright, so I got a little bit of resistance, so let's check. Yeah, it's kinking up right here. So I'll move that so it can actually move freely. Alright. Actually, I could push it through from here on this side too. Yeah, I'm pushing it through as we speak. Okay. Actually, I think it's just bunching up. Yeah, so I'm going to finish pulling through on the other end. But this should have enough slack now that it should pull right through. Alright. Let's finish pulling this. Alright. Yep, it's coming. Yep, still coming. Alright, we've reached our 4 to 1 gauge section, and look at that. 1 gauge is in. So, we continue the theory, because this is actually going pretty well right now. Oh, fuck. Goddamn trim piece. Should have moved then. So as you can see, that's officially through. I'm going to continue pulling it through. I can't see where the plastic piece is. I don't think I've ran into that yet. Oh, it's right there. Well, no, you can't see it because no light. Either way, I mean, the battle's already won. This 1 gauge is through, so now it's just getting the rubber. God damn, where's the rubber at? Oh, shit. I still haven't ran into the rubber. I might have to feed it. I'm still gonna do this real time though. I definitely might have to feed it though. Where is it binding up? I see it. I see it. It's kind of tough to see, but I definitely see where it's binding up, so I'm going to see if I can just guide it with my hand. Yeah, actually, you can kind of see it right there. Right there in the... right there. It's just like sitting on the hole, so I'm going to have to sort that out. Just taking a quick break to document the progress we made thus far. So the power wire, as you can see, is ran quite nicely, and might be able to see all the way down there. You see that black, that black right there. That would be the protection around the wire. So I had to get creative with that because the plastic piece didn't want to cooperate. So I ended up just taping both sides and marking it off with a marker. So I just threw the battery in and basically wired it the way I would have it normally, and then just marked off with a marker that section of wire. At this point, just actually running the wire. So you can see it's you know, you see the black there, so at least the wire won't be, you know, like moving around and whatnot and cutting itself, because that would suck. I'd be pissed. So it should do the job. And obviously the wire itself is in the process of being tucked and whatnot. This is really thick wire. I mean, you know, no, that's what she said jokes either. This is just really, really thick wire, and it's a pain in the ass to run. But I got it ran. Most of it ran. So now it's just tidying everything up. I already have it coming out. I mean, it's simple enough to tuck this in this crease. You just have to tuck it behind the I can't think of this, seat belt. You just tuck it behind the seat belt, and it tucks right into the cushion pretty neatly. So I'm going to put the panels back together, and then we're going to jump in the back and see what's going on now. But yeah, for right now, we're like 50% there. Because the tough part, which was running the wire, is damn near complete. Then it's just bringing it all back here and making it look nice. So I'm gonna pull all this shit up in a little bit, but I'm gonna finish putting all the panels back first. So I'm not done, but I just wanted to show the zip ties. So I just throw these so it I mean, do I anticipate this wire moving? No. I mean, the wire that I had in there before, this 4-gauge wire, that wire never moved an inch, so I don't think that all of a sudden now this wire is going to start walking. But, you know, shit happens. Panels get loose, things expand and contract, so I'd rather just, you know, be on the safe side. It's silly how thick this shit is, though. Like, the power wire is thicker than pretty much every wire for all the speakers in the sub in the car. The existing sub, I should say, like all the speaker wires and the amp turn on, and I mean, all of those. All these wires that are built in, the power wire's thicker, which is just silly, but, well, need bass. Shit. Okay, checking in again. So, the panel's back. All of that's back. The ground has been changed to the 0 gauge, using the same grounding point as before. The cap and the amp are essentially wired. It's just not tight, which I'm gonna tighten in a minute. It's a very small working area, and to tighten it down, it's tedious. What I'm actually thinking is I might eventually like just cut these so they're a little shorter, so they don't bend that way. I mean, it takes 2 seconds to do. I'm just being lazy right now because I've been working on this for a while and I just want to get the shit done. So for right now, they're gonna be a little long. Fuck it. Damn, I'm gonna have to clean that up. But here we have our positive terminal connected, the fuse connected, the negative, which is sticking up a little. I don't know why. Put that down a little bit. Get out the way. Move, bitch. Yeah, like that. Alright. Negatives connected. All our wiring is ran in the car. I do not like this fucking wire hanging there, but I'll leave that as. But zero gauge is successfully ran through, and as you can see, it's still in the rubber grommet, so wire should be fine to flex, do whatever the fuck it wants to do. It's protected. Ow! And panels are back. Front panel, back panel, ground and everything back there is cleaned up. And this is basically how it's gonna look for the time being. I mean, which nobody's actually gonna see this. I mean, I just went with the same color because I like flat colors for shit like this because it doesn't draw any attention. So it looks very unassuming. So, I mean, granted, you could look at the wire and say, wow, that's thick ass wire. But, I mean, it doesn't give too much away. And plus, I keep my seats folded down often. And, I mean, there's basically no giveaway there. I mean, you see that gray wire there. But, I mean, most people are going to think, oh, it must be something. You know, some electrical wire for the car, maybe like a wire loom or a harness or something. They don't know that it's power for a fucking amp. Because I have serious fucking problems that I put power wire in that thick. But we do what we need to do. So let's go ahead and start her up. I already know it's going to be outrageously loud because it hasn't been started in a while. Since I started this, didn't pop any fuses, so I'm not too rusty. Battery probably isn't too happy. See what the voltage is. Oh, I gotta turn the battery. I'm stupid sometimes. I'm just curious what the voltage is. Alright. Alright. Battery voltage dropped to 11.9, 11.8, so that's definitely been sitting for a while. And the cap voltage is same thing, 11.9. But that's more than enough to start it. So, but that's the good thing is that we actually have a readout on the cap, so that lets us know. Oh yeah, I forgot. When you turn it off, well, turn it on after disconnecting the battery. For whatever reason, it turns on the AC. That doesn't make any sense, but it does. But let's start it up. This is gonna be really loud. The cap is holding 14.1. That's a good sign. Wasn't holding that much before. It usually holds like 13.8, 13.9, so that's already a good sign. Not bad, not bad. So this is kind of the realization of everything, like once everything is put together in terms of the wire. So just the same standard test, turning the base up and seeing if we get any sort of clipping or if we get any sort of noticeable voltage drop. What you'll immediately notice in this case is that the cap isn't even on. And traditionally, the cap is supposed to activate once there's a need for it. I mean, if there's no need for it, then it doesn't turn on, essentially. And in this case, it didn't come on until the song actually hit. And then even once the song hit, you could see that, I mean, this is night and day. I mean, this is fucking phenomenal. So it's holding not only 14 volts, but over 14 volts. And as you saw, that was at like a -2 level of bass. So much higher bass than before, and there's no drop, and to a degree it didn't even have to use the cap. It had more than enough power. This is another test as well, more checking if the amp was going into protect mode, but let's check the voltage on this one. So this is a dedicated bass track, so I mean, this is pretty high demand, and I mean, look at this is fucking crazy. So I mean, yes, there is some drop, but keep in mind, I still haven't upgraded the alternator nor the charging cable on the alternator. So for what it's worth, this is still fairly impressive with just 0-gauge wire, a cap, the engine ground, and the battery ground upgrade. It's still pretty crazy. This is what I was talking about with the amp, seeing if it went into protect mode. And as you'll see, there is no protect mode to speak of here. I mean, no clipping, no nothing. So this is tremendous results.
I'm not turning any higher. That's yeah. I mean, it clearly does not clip. Could I keep pumping it higher and higher and higher and see if it'll clip? Sure, but at what point do you say, well, this is kind of detrimental to the sub? Oh, that's the turbo spooling down. Still spooling down. Just stopped. Yeah, it usually spins for like a good 10-15 seconds after. But yeah, the clearly the 0-gauge made a very impactful difference. Like I said, the only kind of detriment now is the sub definitely is the weakest, well, potentially the weakest link in the chain. Don't get me wrong, it's an L7. L7s, you know, do a tremendous job of consistently outperforming what people say they should do. But at the same time, that thing's only going to take so much before it dies. And if I want to dial the bass up anymore, then I'll just have to man up and just go with 2 L7s. And then, needless to say, I have a capacitor because it's fairly obvious. I mean, it's can't really miss it. It's kind of out there. But you notice it's a actually, let me turn this around. There we go. It is a Apex or Apex high performance capacitor. I've never heard of them, but I'm sure this is not false advertisement. I'm sure it's very high performance. But as you can see, it's a 1.5 farad. Basic rule of thumb, every farad is like 1,000 watts, so figure this is like 1,500, something like that. It's not technically that I've been having trouble with it, but the whole point of the capacitor is to basically provide a buffer in between the amp and the battery. So rather than have the battery well, okay, let's go through step by step. So let's say heavy bass note hits. That's not what bass sounds like, but just work with me. So alright, so that's the heavy bass. And that was fucking terrible. But alright, let's say heavy bass hits. And your alternator is looking to say, oh shit. This is a lot of current to try to recharge. In that brief second when that bass note hits hard, there's going to be a brief moment where there may not be enough electricity for all the electronic accessories in your vehicle. What does that cause? It causes patented dimming. Because whereas that electricity would normally go towards your accessory systems, it's now going to replace the massive amount of juice that you just pulled out of your battery. So the whole point is to basically have this as a buffer. So let's say you had a heavy bass note. I could do better than that, but I'm sorry, I'm tired. But heavy bass note hits, and instead of it just yanking it, from your battery, because it's no way your alternator is going to be able to replace that much voltage that quickly, so it's going to have to defer to some of the stored energy in the battery. Instead, it goes through here first, versus just pulling it from your battery. In practice, the problem is these are not all created equal. So, introduce this. This is a T-Spec 3 farad. So again, 1,000 watts per farad. So let's call this 3,000 watts, on the conservative end. Now if you notice, it says V8. T-Spec, I've actually been doing a decent amount of work with T-Spec. All my wiring right now is T-Spec, all my 0-gauge wire. It's all OFC as well, and they have some super thick stranding in their wire. I mean, it's high quality stuff. So that's what I'm working with now. I like T-Spec wire, and I like kicker for everything else. So my sub, my amp, my line out converter, my speakers, all of that shit's kicker. And I'm thinking I want to go with all T-Spec for my wiring and whatnot. So that's what we're doing today. But obviously, where there's a theoretical doubling of the power storage on here, in theory, this cap should do a much better job of buffering between the battery and the amplifier. Since this is only 1.5 farads and this is 3, this should be able to handle, in theory, of course, twice as much. And considering that amp is currently rated at 3,600, and I think the bench test on it, the dyno, measured it out somewhere in the 3,800 range. So plus or minus, call it 4,000 watts. This is supposedly supposed to do a better job with 3,000 watts of potential power storage versus 1,500. We're gonna find out. Alright, so that's what we ended up with. How's the lineup? Alright. I tucked everything underneath the carpet, as you can see, so that's the final look. If you notice, everything is integrated underneath the carpet, and I did change around the power and negative for the amp. The amp is still nicely tucked in the back. That little white shit you see like right there, that's not actually a scratch, it's just it's schmegma, scuff marks, that sort of shit that's been moved around. But you got your spaghetti wire back there, of course. I mark off positive and negative, so my negative I always wrap around with a black piece of tape, so I know that that's negative. I have to take these apart. As you can see, everything's pretty tidy. I got a stray wire right there. I don't like that, but it's one wire. If you would fucking... Alright, well, we'll just have to let that one wire... We'll just have to let that go for the time being. I'm gonna come back and cut that though. But yeah, everything looks pretty good with the amp. The 0-gauge looks pretty nice. So what I ended up doing, I cut underneath the carpet and ran the negative. You can't see the negative, but it's the same place where it was before. It's just run underneath, and then it comes out, wraps around, comes down, and then comes into the cap there. And then the power, you can't even see the power. That was really well done. So I had to custom cut that. As you see, that's your power right there. Granted, yeah, that doesn't look too good. It looks like it's exposed, but it's just the way I had to. It's just the way I had to wrap it. But it's not like
yanking or pulling or anything like that. I did check it. Everything's been bolted down. So, needless to say, it's not going anywhere. And it looks a little better. And this time I was smart enough to use my own music. So, let me see. Yeah, that's a pretty good one.
Hey, Star 5 on the rise. Kid money, stay fly. Hey, check my swag, shorty. Check. This is how we gonna do this thing right here.
I'm gonna have to turn it on to go any higher because I am sure that it'll kill the battery if I pump it. Just go straight to 0.
Hey, have you ever met a nigga like me? I don't think so. Fresh to death. Tell me something that I ain't know. Stay clean. Get out of there. You know the kids so smooth, really check my swag. My what? Bitch, you shot it, just come check my swag. My what? My swag is king, already know I stay fresh, so then let you go out there and try to stay guessing. You know the kids so smooth, really check my swag. Check your swag, check necessary.
Yeah, that happens. Alright, so we did see it drop into the 12s briefly, like 12.8, 12.9, that sort of thing. I'm not too surprised. Let's be honest for a minute. All we did really was just put in thicker gauge wire. The charging wire is still the same size, so it's still only 8 gauge. That's what most of them are from the factory, 8 gauge. And needless to say, if I'm pulling power through 10 gauge and the alternator has to replace it through 8 gauge, I mean, you're still gonna have a bit of a discrepancy there. So I'm not too surprised the voltage is still dropping a little bit. What I am planning to do now, of course, is what I'm planning to do now is put the new alternator in, because shit happens. So I just happen to have a new alternator. It's 160 amp. I mean, granted, for an application like this, I'd be more in line to go with, you know, like a 250 amp. You know, hell, I could go with double. But the 160 that I got is still a good 50 or so amps higher than the stock one. And more importantly, it fits in the stock location. It's made by, I can't remember, but I'll link it. So I'm going to put that in, and that should make a pretty nice improvement along with the thicker power wire. So when the big 3 will be done in, I'll have a better alternator. But that's basically where we're at for right now. So long project, as you can see. I mean, video's crazy long, but I wanted to document everything, so I I got pretty much everything documented that we did. So the sub upgrade, the amp upgrade, the cap upgrade, the wire upgrade, the ground upgrades. I think that's pretty much everything. So we got pretty much everything documented. So I hope it's been informative. Obviously, it's still not done yet. And when I say there's, you know, an alternator coming, I mean, I already have the alternator sitting on the table. So literally all I have to do is just put the damn thing in. But there's going to be a different turbo going in. And, you know, more and more details will come on that in the future. But once the new turbo goes in, if anyone knows the layout for a Mazda 6, the turbo is right next to the alternator. So I figure, what better time to replace the alternator than when everything is apart, and go from there. So that is exactly what we're gonna do. But I just gotta get the turbo, which should be here, I think, like next week or something. I think I said next week Tuesday, if I recall correctly. But we'll see what the deal is. Kind of go from there. And whenever I get it, I'll make arrangements to get it installed. Okay, thank you. But yeah, thank you, of course, for all the support. It's kind of funny because I've had the channel for a while, obviously, many years, and it's not something that I've really put my full effort into, but I see there's, I get emails, every day or every other day, about subscribers being added, and I feel really bad to a degree because, people are subscribing and I don't upload at the intervals that I would like to, but I had some things open up in my life, so I was just kind of seeing what that was gonna do, or how that would leave me for time. And now I know how to delegate my time better, and I know how to fit time to give back to the community that is that's been supporting me and whatnot. So I will say this right now, and you can take it to the bank. You will be seeing quite a bit more of me this upcoming year. So that's a promise. If there's one thing a man has to stand behind, it's his word. So I'm giving my word on that. There will be quite a bit more coming from me in the future. And I'm going to expand the channel. There'll be more information coming on that in the future. But just know that, 2017 is going to be a great year. But yeah, so we'll go ahead and cut this one short, and well, it's not short at all, but we'll go ahead and cut it and call it a wrap, and I'll be back with the next project sooner than later. Alright, if you have comments, of course, I know plenty of you have sent me tons of questions and whatnot, and I answer them the best I can. If you have questions, of course, you know how to leave a question or send an email or whatever the case is, and I'll get back to you. And if you like what you saw, like it. If you didn't like it, dislike it. Whatever the case is, I want feedback so I know what to keep doing and what I should stop doing. But yeah, thanks again for checking me out, and I'll see you in the future.